15,000 participants representing some 200 countries. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Environment, coming to you from the Bella Centre in Copenhagen, the heart of the UN talks on climate change. In this edition, we're going to be looking at the divisions between developed and developing countries when it comes to global warming. For that, we'll be going to the United States, historically the world's biggest polluter. It's just now putting environment top of its agenda. But you'll see that some people are already annoyed about going green. Next, we'll be bringing you to Africa, a continent that's already seeing the effects of warming weather. In Burkina-Faso, it's causing conflicts. And finally, we'll be looking at the latest technologies that might help everyone adapt. Japan is putting its hopes on hydrogen. In this hall, hundreds of delegates have come together from all over the world, trying to find a common agreement on what should be done to tackle climate change. It might look like a very relaxed atmosphere, but even at these coffee tables, some serious discussions are taking place. The developing countries present have let it be known that they want US President Barack Obama to propose more than just hope. However, his room to maneuver might be limited, as even in America's greenest state, people are saying they're fed up about hearing about the environment.
Californians have long been champions of the environmental cause. But in Nevada City and many other towns of the Golden State, many are starting to find it too costly to go green. Craig has been in the construction business for decades. He saw the emergence of the very first eco-friendly construction materials. He thinks that they're nothing but a passing hype, a way for the industry to make more money, and his clients are no longer willing to buy into the so-called green products.
When we start penciling out, and it goes back to dollars and cents again, it always falls to that. When we start penciling out these specific green elements they want to put in their house, it's amazing how they back away. They just decide, well, if you can prove to me that my house will be as energy efficient as that green product, then I guess I don't want to spend the extra money on the green product.
Craig is off to convey this message to his elected officials downtown. He's sitting right by the local business owners who have come to tell politicians about the pain that green laws and regulations are causing them. The crisis has already taken a heavy toll on the local economy.
In English, what does this mean? What do I have to do?
Dan Log is the local assemblyman. He is known for taking the stance that green laws are a form of political correctness.
What we're going to do, because of some of the political correctness in California, we're going to be driving the middle class out of California. There is a concentrated effort to lessen the population in California, and the way to do that is to kill the jobs.
Ecological concerns may be losing ground in certain parts of California, but not in Pasadena, where the head of the city's environmental program is very proud of his solar trash compactors. He had a dozen of them installed across the city. Through a panel, the sun provides the energy that activates the compactors inside these high-tech bins. Each one of them costs $4,000, but they're worth it on the long term, according to their buyer.
If they're only having to service it one day a week, we calculate that as an 80% savings in terms of labor, where we can use them in other places. So what that works out to being is $61,000 of savings in 1 year.
In Pasadena and elsewhere, green enthusiasts are hoping to prove that saving the planet can also help save money.
Well, we're now entering the area of the Bella Centre where the delegations have their offices. And as you can see, the United States and the European Union both have large and eye-catching pavilions. It's much harder, however, to find the workspace of the African Union. Indeed, very few African delegations here have their own private offices, and so they have to hold many of their negotiations around tables in the cafeteria or even the hallways. Despite this, they're still managing to have their voices heard, and they say that for them the issue of climate change is much more urgent. Indeed, as you'll see in this next report, it's already leading to conflict in countries such as Burkina-Faso.
It's a first for this area of Burkina Faso. Farmers, herders and local community leaders have come to work together, a group that's more used to long-standing tensions keeping them apart.
Because of climate change, there's a lot less water. It doesn't rain like it used to, grass doesn't grow like before. All of that creates problems.
Here, pastureland is becoming an ever more prized commodity thanks to increasing drought, and that can lead to strained relations between neighbouring communities. Now, specially trained conflict mediators are being deployed to help farmers avoid disputes through role-play and education. At this session, it's clear the old habit of playing down arguments won't fade easily. The community chief playing the role of referee prefers not to talk about specific conflicts.
We don't have problems here. We sort things out between ourselves, herders and crop farmers. If a crop farmer loses his head, he gets fined.
But many crop growers say that attitude needs to change. They're fed up of seeing their livelihoods destroyed by other farmers' cattle.
There's not enough land, not enough rain. We need more fertile land. That's why we don't get on very well. And we have problems with the herders all the time, because their animals stray. We talk to them, but it makes no difference.
We've been waiting for the government to do something about the herders for 30 years, but nothing's happened.
Herders, meanwhile, point the finger at the farmers, saying they insist on planting crops in the middle of animals' migration routes.
We do fight. Sometimes we come to blows.
And that's precisely the kind of situation the conflict workshops are hoping to minimise in the future. And with the sessions being broadcast nationwide on the radio, organisers hope to spread the message even further.
Well, we're now in the media centre where 3,500 journalists have been allowed in. Indeed, many more had to be turned away. Environment gaining more and more media attention, as is one idea that might help solve it. Many countries are starting to rely on green technologies, and Japan is pinning its hopes on hydrogen.
The Kaneko family is on the cutting edge of clean energy use. A solar panel powers their electric gate. A hydrogen fuel cell lights their lamps and heats their water.
This is the unit that produces electricity, and this other one is the tank that contains hot water. Water comes from here, and pipes bring hot water to the first floor, where we have sinks and a bathroom. The hot water also feeds our fluoridating system.
The fuel cells produce electricity and hot water through a chemical reaction between hydrogen and oxygen extracted from natural gas or other fuels. This electronic board allows the Kaneko family to regulate their electricity consumption.
I would say this house is 3 times as big as the previous one, but our electricity bill has remained the same. So we can say we're paying 70% less than we used to.
The Kanekos are among the 2,000 Japanese households who have invested in this device since the fuel cells were released to the market last spring. Developers like Tokyo Gas say the product is environmentally friendly.
To generate 1 kilowatt of electricity, this system helps reduce CO2 emissions by 45% compared to a conventional system, and the fuel consumption, actually natural gas in our system, is reduced by 33%.
Japan wants to take the lead on implementing new energy technologies. Authorities have invested massively in research. They plan for about 1/4 of Japanese households to be powered by hydrogen fuel cells by 2020.
Energy independence is a major priority for Japan, just like it is for France. It is a challenge for the state. We bet on nuclear energy, renewable energies, and these hydrogen fuel cells. We estimate that with these 3 strategies, we can cut our carbon gas emissions by 50% by sometimes between 2020 and 2030.
The government is now trying to deal with the high retail price of the fuel cells. 1 unit costs 25,000 euros. Even though the state allocates a 10,000 euro direct subsidy for each purchase, the cells remain out of reach for many households.
Well, many NGOs here have renamed Copenhagen a Hopenhagen, and one positive achievement already made by organisers here is that they've got us back on our bikes. Indeed, impossible to get a car up to the doors of this centre, and so it's pedal power for many participants, whether it be rain, hail or shine. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition from Copenhagen, but join us again next time for another special show all about these climate change talks.